Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and after quite a few weeks, actually more like a month and a half of searching, I have finally found this. You can see we've got the Monsterverse Frost Vark figure from Playmates. So, a new figure in the Godzilla line, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and I'm really excited to actually have this figure now finally in my collection. It definitely took some serious searching to find this one, and it seemed like every time I would find this wave of figures, of course, the Frost Vark was gone, so it was definitely a tough one to get a hold of. But you can see the packaging looks really cool on these newer figures. And then on the back, you've got another shot of the figure, which is actually a little bit of a brighter blue for some reason. And then down here, an image of all of the other figures that are out in this wave, two of which are new, which would be those two. So let's go ahead, pop this open, and check it out. So here is our Frost Vark, and honestly, out of the packaging, I think it looks a little bit nicer than I thought it would, and it's also a little bit like thicker and sturdier and heavier than I was expecting for some reason. A lot of the time the Playmates figures have kind of a little bit of a cheaper feel, but honestly they've been improving leaps and bounds since the initial figures that they had released, so I'm really happy to see that some of these newer creatures have had pretty spectacular figures, and this one definitely looks to be pretty cool as well. I'm going to readjust the camera just a little bit and then bring it up here for a closer look. So starting in the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt definitely looks quite cool. You've got some pretty nice looking skin texture here, fairly fine but quite vibrant overall. We also have a blue eye, which is a little sloppy as far as the paintwork, but not too bad. As you turn over here to the front and you go into the extremely interesting looking mouth of our Frost Vark, you can see a brownish tone in here. The teeth are of course showing here. No actual paintwork for the inside of the mouth, sadly, but you can see the teeth are painted kind of sloppily, but not too bad. They look okay. And then you've got all of these little appendages, I guess you could call them, here sticking out around the mouth that are painted with a brown as well and do have a blue spot at the end. But as you can see coming from the front, that's quite the unique looking creature. As far as neck articulation goes, yeah, I kind of figured just a swivel, so you can articulate it. I was kind of hoping for more, but like when you look at it from the side, you can really see that it's pretty much just going to be a swivel. You can't get much else as far as that goes, unfortunately, as far as neck articulation for the figure. But as you begin to move back, you start to pick up really big kind of like spiky texturing throughout the course of the neck, and that of course continues to increase as you move back as far as the size goes. But you start with a nice dark blue, and as you transition back, you do get a lighter blue here in the side of the neck, and as you move up to the top of the figure, that light blue, basically it's like a light bluish gray, continues on. It does darken slightly here for this area and then brightens quite a bit more as you move further back into the back of the figure. Moving down here into the side, again, just the dark blue. Now, the skin texture and everything and the way the figure looks is really cool, but when it comes to really nice fine details, as you see when we get nice and close, it's definitely a little bit lacking. Obviously, the figure could be a little more highly detailed, but it's not terrible. Again, for what it is, it does look really cool, and it's pretty much what I would expect when it comes to an action figure form of this kaiju. As far as articulation in the leg goes, you can see forward and back. I think that's all we're going to have, yeah. And then you've got elbow articulation forward and back, which is pretty decent. As you move down through the front leg here, you can, of course, see that the skin texture starts out really large, but becomes a lot smaller as you continue to move down into the foot. And then as you lead down here, we have the claws nicely sculpted out. They are painted with a black, and they do look pretty decent. As we move back into the side, again, the really large kind of ridges and stuff all over this figure continue to move through the course of the body. Same deal, of course, up there in the back, following the same style without, again, much in the way of fine texturing. Leading back here into the rear leg, the same sort of appearance as far as what we had seen on the front leg. As you move down articulation-wise, forward and back, same deal for the knee, just forward and back. And that's really about it. There's no ankle articulation. Ooh, actually, we can swivel. So this area swivels, which is pretty nice. I wonder if the elbow swivels. Oh, it does. Look at that. I missed that. I didn't even notice. So a little bit better as far as the articulation goes. It's not quite as basic as I was expecting. But, of course, I think, some areas like the neck could have been improved. And then you do have a tail as you lead out, and that does as well have articulation left and right, and up and down and can swivel. So pretty much the same style as far as the texturing goes, leading out into the tail, just obviously a bit smaller. And then you see pretty much the same thing again as far as the texturing goes moving along the underside. And for the most part, it's going to look the same from one side to the other because, of course, it is an articulated figure. So not going to see much in the way of difference, no real other color variation or anything that I'm seeing on the figure, but it definitely looks really cool. As far as the size goes, for a length from the mouth to the tail, about 7 3/4 inches or around 19.5 centimeters. And then for a height, about 3 3/4 inches or a hair under 9.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Frost Vark. And you can see again, it's decently sized. Pretty much in the size range, though, that you would expect when it comes to a Playmates figure. They don't often, stray too far unless it's a totally different sized line. When it's in the main line of the Playmates, it's usually in a similar size. So you can see again, no real surprises as far as the size goes for this one. For a size comparison, we also have a Playmates Godzilla, so this gives you a good idea as far as how this figure sizes up next to a Godzilla in the same line. As well as a Shimo from Playmates, again showing you that the Frost Vark is a little bit smaller, but kind of in a similar size. And I don't think we need too many comparisons this time around, so just one more with the Hiya Toys King of the Monsters Godzilla, because I know that is a popular Hiya Toys release next to our Frost Vark, which obviously, size-wise, they're pretty different. So this brand new Playmates Frost Vark figure is pretty cool. It's definitely got a fairly decent sculpt, fairly highly detailed until you move back into the body. And again, it still has a decently detailed body. It's just, when it comes to the really fine texturing, it is a little lacking, but it still looks really good. The overall coloration is fairly decent as well. Again, there's not much to it, but when it comes to action figures like this, you don't usually expect a whole lot. But we do have some nice light blues, some nice dark blues, as well as those kind of bright, vibrant blues in the eyes and out there on the mouth area, which do look pretty cool. You also have painted nails. It does feature some articulation, but it's not super impressive. The neck is fairly lame as far as the articulation goes. The legs are a little bit better, and again, they do move fairly decently. They're fairly smooth overall as well. The box does state fully posable, but I don't feel like it's quite fully posable, but still somewhat posable. But overall, it is a really cool kaiju, and I am happy to see it finally get a figure. So if you are interested, check your local Walmart or Target. I've actually found it now at both of them. I actually found another one after I found this one. It took a while, but now that I found it, of course, it's going to keep popping up. But again, check one of those two stores. Hopefully you can find it, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.